Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be taking a little bit of a break from boat tours and switch gears a little bit here. Now I'm getting a ton of people coming in, especially from this channel, who have never boated before, are in the process of buying their first boat, but have no idea where to start, what the process entails, or really how it works at all. So if you meet that criteria, then this video is for you. Before we jump into the details, I just want to preface this video with all of the information and everything I'm about to share with you came from learning this business from my father, who's been selling boats for over 30 years. I also want to say right off the bat, this is just my advice after 5 years of helping people buy and sell their boats. I'm sure other brokers are going to give other advice, and I'm sure other companies might have a different process on how they handle the purchase and the sale of a vessel. So keep that in mind moving forward, but this is going to give you a good baseline knowledge on how these deals work. I'm sure many of you are not going to agree with the information I have to share in this video, and undoubtedly you are going to let me know in the comments. And with that, let's jump in to step number 1. The most important thing to understand is that brokers work a lot like real estate agents. So find one that you are comfortable with, find one that you trust, and find one that is not going to lead you astray. Even if the broker you're working with does not have the boat you are looking for, you can still use that broker to represent you as a buyer's broker. So I strongly recommend finding a broker that you trust. Now, step 2 may seem a little bit obvious, but it is the most crucial step in purchasing a boat. I could spend an entire video talking about this step and breaking down what boats are going to fit what criteria. If you're looking to do this, these are the kind of boats you're looking for, but that's just going to bog down the video. So I'm going to try to sum it up the best here. First and foremost, you must decide, are you going to be a powerboater or a sailboater? If you choose the latter, this video probably is not for you because I am mostly into powerboats. Once you have made the correct choice and you decide to go with a powerboat, I tell all of my clients that a boat is a tool. You need to come up with a punch list of criteria that the boat needs to meet for the style of boating you want to do. This is why I made picking a broker step number 1. Your broker should be helping you with this step because you won't know what you don't know. Not all 34-foot cabin cruisers are going to feel the same or even feel the same size. It can be very overwhelming when starting out, so like I said, make sure you discuss with your broker what your vision of boating looks like and what your realistic use case of your boat is going to be. Make sure you get on a bunch of different models or a few different sizes so you can really find out what you like and what you don't like. I could go into much more detail and, like I said, spend a whole video just talking about this subject alone, but we're going to go ahead and move on to step number 3. All right, so this is where the fun really starts, and I'm going to skip past, looking at a ton of different boats. Obviously, get on as many boats as you can. Any boats that might interest you, I recommend checking them out and seeing what they have to offer. We're going to focus on, once you find a boat that you really like, the things I look for when I list them to give kind of an overall condition of the boat, or let me know if there's been any past repairs, what's needing to be done, and just the overall health condition of the boat. The very first thing I'm going to tell you to do is ask your broker if he knows of any kind of maintenance history, any outstanding repairs, or work that still needs to be done. The second thing I do is walk all of the deck space. Walk everywhere you can that's designed to be walked on and feel if there's any give. Those are known as soft spots, and it's an indication that moisture has gotten into the fiberglass somehow. But when you come down into the cabin, some of the very first things I look for is check all of the windows and portholes and make sure there's no leaks. A boat is bound to leak at some point, especially if it's an older boat, but you'll see where water's been coming in. It usually stains the headliner, stains the bulkhead. So walk around the boat, check all of the windows and hatches, and check for any water stains. And that'll be able to tell you if there's any leaks ongoing. A pro tip here is after it rains is a really good time to check boats, especially if your boat you're looking at is not in a covered slip. And the last thing I wanted to point out is check your stringers. Make sure that those are good because those are probably the most important structural point on the boat. Now, obviously, I could go in much more detail on this part. The list could be endless, so leave a comment down below if I missed anything or something that you think is important to check before purchasing a boat. My last pro tips here are ask your broker for maintenance records the last 12 to 24 months. I kind of recommend to everybody just do your own baseline maintenance anyways, unless you know for sure that the maintenance was done just prior to you purchasing the boat. But now it's time to make an offer, and we're going to move on to step number 4. Make the offer subject to how the boat was presented to you. If you get on the boat and the broker told you a bunch of things were not working, keep that in mind when making your offer. If you get on the boat and the broker told you everything is working on the boat. Assume he isn't lying to you. Assume that is true. And to everybody's knowledge, everything on the boat is working. It's going to be up to you to do your due diligence to find the things that are not working. And that's part of the survey process. The stronger your offer is initially, you'll find that the seller is going to be more willing to work with you on the back end when things do come up on the survey that maybe he wasn't aware of or the broker wasn't aware of. When it comes time to make your offer, you're going to get what's called a purchase and sale agreement. This comes straight from Yacht Closer, so every boat dealer and boat broker I know uses this exact form, just obviously with their information up at the top in the header. It's going to have your information, seller's information, the vessel information. Here are the agreement terms. This is where you need to pay attention. Your offer date is going to be the date you put the offer, obviously. Seller acceptance. When you make your offer, the seller is going to either say yes, no, or make his counter offer. And the date he has to do that is going to go right here. I typically give the seller 2 days to do that. Moving down the buyer accept reject date. This is the important one. I usually give about 3 weeks from the offer date to here. This is when you have to have all of your contingencies knocked out and decide if you're going to buy the boat or not. Consider this the option period. We require a 10% deposit of the agreed upon price prior to the survey or sea trial. Just about any dealership is going to require that. I typically recommend, at least the way we run the deals, is wire the deposit until we have an agreed upon price. That way we're not going back and forth with the deposit. But once your seller does agree to the price, he will sign it and you will wire your deposit. I will sign it and you will get a completed copy. Once you have a completed copy of your purchase agreement, that's when the real fun begins. So once you have your survey scheduled, it will be up to you to find the surveyor, schedule the surveyor, get everything sorted. You can ask your broker for help, but this is a part of the process that you want to be involved in. So once you have found your surveyor and it is your survey day, the very first thing that's going to happen is you are all going to meet at the boat. The surveyor is going to start going through the boat, checking out all the systems, checking the stringers, make sure there's no termites, funny enough. And if everything checks out, then we will head over to the haul out. So now that the boat is out of the water, it gives the surveyor a chance to inspect the bottom. Meanwhile, the bottom is getting clean, so that way the boat will perform and we can go out and really test, make sure the engines are doing what they're supposed to, because any kind of growth on the bottom will affect the performance. So what he's doing now is going through, checking the bottom, making sure there's no blisters, the bottom paint's still good, there's no chinks in the hull, and then he's going to tap the hull, sound it, and make sure there's no rotting anywhere below the water line. But this bottom in particular looks pretty good. I'm not seeing any blisters or any major issues. I'll take you close, but it is important to get all of this growth off the bottom. So that's what we're doing. All right, so we are back in the water, about to do the sea trial portion of the survey. So we're idling through the channel now, and we're about to run it up on a plane. We'll go wide open, make sure the engines turn up to RPM, the boat gets on a plane, and everything's running as it should. So this is the fun part. Always makes me a little bit nervous, no matter what. So here we go. All right, so the boat is back in its slip, and it's now about 12:15. So it took about 3 hours to get through basically the whole thing. Surveyor's still on the boat, still going through stuff. And this is really the time when you find out if there's gonna be any major items. You probably would have found it by now, and he's just gonna go through and continue going through all the little stuff. And then most of the time they'll sit down with you and kind of go over the discrepancies, things they found on it. And then in a couple days, you should get your survey back. Once you get all of your reports back, that is when we will go back and renegotiate on all of the items that you found during your inspections. Personally, I like to make price adjustments. I think it gives the buyer peace of mind, knowing that he'll get to fix the items however he sees fit, and you don't have to worry about the seller just slapping band-aids on it or temporary fixes or anything like that. If we can reach a deal that both the buyer and the seller are happy with, we will send you what's called an acceptance of vessel. That means you're going to buy the boat, you're locking in, and we're going to set up a closing date. Once you come in for your closing date, sign all the paperwork, the boat will be yours. If we cannot reach an agreement, or you found something on the survey that is just an absolute deal breaker, we're going to send you what's called a rejection of vessel, meaning you are not going to buy the boat, and we're going to send you your deposit back, and the hunt continues for the right boat. All right, that is going to do it for today's video. If you made it this far, subscribe, consider becoming a channel member. Let me know in the comments down below if you found this video useful, or if you have any questions moving forward. If not, I will see y'all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.